Whose game is it?
Alabama! But to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo!
Here comes Alabama.
Ladies and gentlemen, or let me start this off. Auburn Tigers acknowledge your daddy, and that's the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama takes down Auburn 28-14 for the season finale, and you're tuning in to the Bama Standard Post-Game Show. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, live chat. Just get ready tonight. We need to talk. It's going to be a while before we get to that postseason, and based on a couple of games we've seen already, the playoffs are not out of consideration. If you're in the replay, get down in the comment section below. Show us some love there. Let's talk about all of it. I'm your host, Justin Riley, and with me tonight is an all-star crew. And I'll start with the biggest all-star of all. No, it's not you, Daniel Petty, but you come in a close second. But he's one of the baddest men to ever tote the rock. Two-time national champion, two-time USL champion, and his son's already a 4-star. Ladies and gentlemen, Bo Scarborough.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Tide, baby.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Rolling.
And then next to him, I think we're all happy. There's no question about that. But I don't think there's anyone on this panel more happier than the queen of the Bama Standard Network, the host of the Crimson Dynasty, who's been letting the Auburn fans know who they are and where they belong the entire season. Ladies and gentlemen, C.She Payne.
Y'all know they've been raggedy. They still raggedy. I mean, that's just what Auburn do. They just lose, right? I mean, we're not surprised. So.
And last but not least, he's in witness protection program in Anna, Alabama. He's the host of the opening drive. He's a part of the final whistle, but he's a man that we definitely love from his mailbag segment, never short of words, and definitely a great appreciator of everything Hugh Freeze does not do right. Daniel Petty.
Hey, man, glad to be here with y'all. Yeah, on this panel of 4, I'm definitely a distant 4th in the power ranking. So just glad to be here with all you rock stars after a big Iron Bowl win, man. It doesn't get better than that, especially watching Hugh Freeze all over himself.
That's a colorful way to put it. But yeah, I knew that we were due for a win because your Rebels last night handled their business. So I figured when the Rebels do well, the Tide's going to follow suit, and they did. So both of our teams made up for what happened last weekend, which we're definitely going to forget about and make that a distant memory. But let's go over some stats. We had some guys go off in his final Iron Bowl as the quarterback for the Crimson Tide. Jalen Milroe went off 18 of 24 for 256 yards, and then he had 17 carries for 104 yards with 3 touchdowns on the ground. And then Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams had an off day, so Jeremy had to pick things up. 7 receptions, 111 yards. Great day. Defense did their thing. We have a lot of guys that showed out today. We're going to talk about all of it. But what we like to do first before we start diving in deep is, first of all, I want to acknowledge the sponsor that allows us to have our post-game show, and that is none other than the Title Towel. Whitwell Sports. Folks, we got the postseason coming up, and we got to get that playoff committee on our side. So what we need to do is wave that title towel in the air. Go to whitwellsports.com today. Enter the promo code STANDARD. Get you a nice discount courtesy of your favorite network, the Bama Standard Network. All right, so what we like to do first is give our instant reactions before we dive in. And Bo, this is your first time on this show. I'll let it start out with you. I know you had a lot of expectations going in. You wanted to see Bama be Bama again. Tell me what you thought, brother. Is it play out the way you thought it would? What'd you see? Would you like? Would you not like?
We played better than I thought that we would play. Only because of Auburn and Alabama. No matter what the record is, it's always gonna be a dog fight. And I was just so impressed with how the defense played lights out tonight. And that's the defense that I'm used to seeing back in the early days, and when I was playing aggressive, attacking on the ball, everybody pursuing. And, they just played lights out to me. And Jalen Milroe had another outstanding game like he did against LSU. And, they definitely lived up to the expectation tonight, even though we had some penalties that could have killed us, and we had 4 or 5 turnovers. Usually, when you have that many turnovers, you don't win the game. But we still found a way to get the job done, and I just love the way how Malachi Moore played, and I love the way how Bernard, played. He played light sided well, blocking and doing everything that he can possibly do, even though that Ryan Williams didn't have a great night. I also think that he, played his role because of the type of player that he is, that everybody's keen in on, and other guys stepped up when they number were called and they was in that spotlight, and they took advantage of the opportunity and made something up out of it. And the defensive lineman, the old guys played very hard. Jihad Campbell at linebacker, and I was very impressed with the way how the defensive line came out, collapsing the pocket, flushing the quarterback out of the pocket, making him use his leg more than he usually do, making him throw incomplete passes or interceptions, or one of them I thought was an intentional grounding, but I thought those guys played a solid game, even though we did have penalties. We usually used to 1 or 2 penalties, but we still got the job done. But they definitely lived up to the expectation.
Oh, I love that, living up to the expectations. And going in, I think everyone on this panel can agree. And Bo, I talked to you about, I think yesterday, the day before, we weren't sure which Alabama team would show up. We weren't sure if they'd be checked in, because last week, as we saw, when everything counted, playoffs on the line, a trip to Atlanta on the line, we laid an absolute egg. So you go into a game that means nothing more than pride. Does this new generation of player get up? And they answered with a resounding hell yeah. But Cici, what did you take from this game? Immediate thoughts. Were you pleased? Is there anything that you would look at and shake your head other than the refs doing everything they could to try to take it away? And of course, we had 4 turnovers, which doesn't help, but it's always good to see when Alabama is faced with adversity, overcoming that adversity, showing some resiliency, which at times this year we had trouble with. But I'm saying too much. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I expected us to win. I mean, I not to sound boastful, but I talked about raggedy Auburn all season long, right? I mean, I knew that Alabama, the tradition that we have, the standard is just not the same. We're used to winning, they're not, so we always tend to find a way to win. And I think coming off of that embarrassing loss that we had last week, you know what I mean? Like at some point, you kind of see what you're really made of, with these bigger games. What I really believe is that from a coaching perspective, they were so focused on this game that they kind of overlooked last weekend, knowing that, okay, this is a rivalry game, whatever. But I feel like that's not a part of the standard, the tradition. So us going into the playoffs, of course, that is definitely a possibility now. But I question, as far as expectations, I believe we will win. I had us winning by 17 points. We won by 14. So I did expect that type of outcome. My biggest thing is the consistency, right? Like it seems like we'll have these big wins, but then the following week or the following game, if it seems like it's not as big, or if it seems like almost like a pushover team, that's when we start to see the errors. Like God forbid if we're behind by a few points, you know what I mean? Then you kind of see those mental errors. And then we had the 4 turnovers. So overall, I did expect us to win at least by I had, like I said, 17. As far as the point spread, I did expect to see the defense be more physical. I had a feeling that with Deontay Lawson getting hurt, that, we were going to have to see what the defense was really made of as far as those true leaders on the field, aside from the Deontays and the Jihad Campbell. So overall, I'm happy for the guys. I feel like the offensive play calling was better. I noticed how we were relying a little bit more on the running backs tonight, and I'm glad that we did that. Of course, Milroe used his legs, but I'm glad to see that we utilize the running backs a little bit more. So overall, I'm pleased.
Yeah, Bo, I know that made you happy, seeing them backs, getting them touches, right?
I would like to see a little bit more though. Wasn't enough.
I'm with you right there. Yeah. There's no question. I like to see Justice use a little bit more, Jam use a little bit more, because there was a time during the game where Jam had the hot hand. Well, you talk about it all the time, having the hot hand, riding your guy. But then we went completely away from it, and we start becoming a pass happy again. which is the MO of Nick Sheridan. It's been all season, but he also did things a little bit different this game. He started utilizing more the tight ends. All three of them were very huge or instrumental in the success of our offense on several drives. I was really excited to see how we got Cuevas involved and Dupree and Robbie Oots. Just big play after big play from them when we needed it the most. Petty, your takeaway, man. How do you feel coming out of this? Give me your thoughts. And feel free to send Hugh Freeze some love. I know that the season's almost over, and you want to get in one last message to him.
Man, my initial thoughts are kind of go in line with what you said, Justin. After the Oklahoma game and the season pretty much being – I appreciate it. You dropped that right there. Sorry, I obviously had a delivery come right at this time. Perfect timing.
You have DoorDash in the middle of the show? Man.
Beauty of a live show. Look, man. Beauty of a live show and being in Aniana, home of our other sponsor of the Bama Standard. Look, man, but I'll hop to it. I was concerned, man. Like you said, the season was on the line last week. I know it's not Auburn. I know it's not the Iron Bowl, but you had everything to play for, and you pull that game out. And I thought Auburn coming off of an emotional victory, this is something Hugh Freeze would build on. I figured Auburn may come in maybe with a little more pep in their step. And I was really curious. I thought this was a very much a program check moment for Alabama and this new coaching staff early in his tenure. It's his first year. You've faced adversity that this program hasn't faced in a while. And then you're coming home to a game that does matter to a lot of people. I get in this new NIL era and transfer portal, these games don't mean as much sometimes to the players on the field, but that hasn't changed to the people that write the checks and fill up those stands. This is still one of the biggest games on the planet to the Bama Nation. So this was a moment I thought that, hey, as a program, show that you're freaking Alabama, like Bo said. There's a standard like Don Parker always talks about. This is Alabama, man. Show back up, take care of Auburn, give them that thumb Tubby like to talk about all the damn time. And they did. That's, Auburn came out. They were really chippy. They were pushing after every play. They were trying to entice shit. But I thought Bama kept their composure really well. The opening drive out of the second half, that play calling and execution by Sheridan, Milroe, and the whole offense, I thought was beautiful. And I thought that was the difference in the game. That set the game to where Auburn, I thought it was over at that point. So I was proud. I was proud to see Alabama do what Alabama's supposed to do, and that show up in the biggest moments, even with the adversity, all the crazy of this year. And it showed that this team had a little bit of something about them. I was glad to see Malachi. I was glad to see the guys go over there and try to take up for Smith when what should have been a double foul. I don't know how the hell a guy gets jumped and he gets kicked out. That's amazing. I didn't think I could see a bigger horseshit call than I saw in Norman, Oklahoma last week on the Phantom call. Was a damn, if anything, it should have been offsetting, but the Bama guy gets okay. But anything, I thought Auburn tried to pick, and I think Bama played as the more composed team, as the team that they were, the better team, and they kicked that, little brother's ass like they were supposed to. Hugh Freeze started Hugh Freezing himself and calling the annexation of Puerto Rico inside the goal line, having his damn running back throw passes. Thank you, Hugh, for being a consummate dumbass. We appreciate it. But with that said, man, this team goes as Jalen Milroe goes. And I thought, even with the two fumbles and the interception, I thought Milroe played possibly his best game as an Alabama quarterback tonight. I thought, this was the game I expected to see out of Jeremy Bernard all year. He became the go-to guy, was making plays all over the field. Milroe was hitting him, like you said, really involved the tight ends. I'm with Bo. I'd like to see more runs, but it seemed like we kind of focused on it more tonight. And I don't know, man. It was a clean game. I thought it was one of Milroe's best. And one thing I don't think I've ever talked about on Milroe, his initial make you miss move juke when it looks like he's about to get sacked and then take off is one of the best things I've ever seen out of a quarterback in college football. It is so Michael Vick in that moment. It hurts because it's like this dude's sacked. And it's a move you can't even see with the human eyes that he makes to get out of it. And then he's gone for the extra yards. I just thought Milroe played his ass off tonight, and I thought the team responded in that way. And I thought, like you were alluding to, Bo, the defense, Tim Keenan, the defensive line. Tim Keenan was like a caged-ass animal tonight. He was, Keenan just brought that dog out tonight. And I felt like the rest of the defense fell off him and Jihad. and shoot in the backfield. I thought Malachi was playing. Brown, their young kid, Bray. Kids just stepped up. It was a great night. Roll Tide beat that Auburn ass. What's that, Tubby? The thumb?
Yeah. So Bo, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who had a better make your miss move, you or Jalen Milroe? And you can be honest. You're amongst family here and all the people in the audience.
I'm gonna say Jalen Milroe. I mean, that ain't my game. I play like Ray Lewis say. This is a man's game.
Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna see what you made of. I'm gonna see can you do it all night. But yeah, he got better making his move than me. But I'm more of a drop the shoulder guy.
Hey, you had some finesse too, Bo. Don't lie. You had that sweetness about your runs too. And I know you like to lower that shoulder and lower the boom, but man, people won't come up and play. They found out quickly.
Oh yeah, they will. They'll find out real fast.
Before I get to these super chats, Bo, we talked about that old boy earlier in the week who was running his mouth, saying that Alabama ain't it. Ryan Williams ain't it. Jalen Milroe ain't gonna get out of that box. What happens when people talk trash about your family?
They get dealt with. And to be honest, I don't even think I even saw this dude make any spectacular plays, any big time plays in the game at all.
Not one.
He didn't do. I know exactly what type of player he is. He that type of player that talk all the stuff that the other players want to say but can't say.
So he the mouthpiece.
Yeah, there you go. He the translator.
Dang.
He just translated. Yeah. He said what everybody can't say because he know that he's not gonna add up to how he plays.
If you want to get an image of how he backed up his talk, there was a beautiful still shot of him getting left in the dirt by Jalen Milroe, watching his taillights round the corner to the end zone. So it's all over social media. Feel free to research that. So we got some super chats. We got Tat Lawson at $5. Auburn should have kept their mouths closed, trying to play gorilla when they ain't no killers. JD Long, $4.99. Where are all the Jalen Milroe haters at? Blank. Love the show, Bama Standard. And we got, no show is complete without Don Parker making his appearance. $20. Happy Bama defeated the raggedy, haunted hayride of a Cal College from the other side of the state. Still so many things that make this Alabama team inconsistent. However, this is a W that I will take no matter what the score. Oh, no doubt.
Hey, Don, Siski told you on Monday. He told you the Tide was going to roll, baby. Siski was telling Bo, your boy Siski was telling Don Monday that the Tide was going to roll.
Petty, did you take the over?
No.
Did Auburn really think they were going to win though? Like you think they really thought they were going to win?
Yeah.
They came off of that victory in quadruple overtime to number 15th ranked Texas A&M.
These people put toilet paper in trees. They believe a lot of dumb shit.
I guess so. I mean, wow.
Randy Bradley, $5. I was happy to see the run backs used, but this game, Milroe brought back A&M vibes. Yeah, we had a couple of things we probably could have cleaned up in the turnover department for sure. Snell's World, $2. Auburn is as bad as Oklahoma. I don't know. But so what we like to do is kind of dial it back a little bit. And during the week, we always have our expectations going into this game. And I'd like to take this time, now that we've watched everything play out, and match it up versus the reality of what we saw. So let's talk about that, our expectations going in, and then how it all played out. And Bo, let me start with you, and then we'll move to Stacey and Petty. What were your expectations going in this week? I know you were doubting things a little bit, but how did it play out, man? Did they meet expectations? Did they exceed expectations? Talk to me.
I think that they made the expectation of the actual Alabama football team and what people expected, all along. Like I said before, it seemed like that we have a bye week and then we come and dominate, and then the next game is like off, and then we have a bye week and then we dominate, then it just die down. And that's what I was hoping that was not gonna happen. But like I said, they surprised me and lived up to the expectation because of the routine that was happening. So that's what I thought, that this game was gonna be brutal and close. But
Mm.
Alabama really showed up and filled the shoes of the Bama standard and what the legacy is at Alabama and what people expect for them to do during this time of the year against Auburn. And my expectation, I didn't think that we would score 28 points because I said we was going to score 24-17, but 4 more points, I will take it. 20, I would take the 28. But again, defense played like we usually play. They had a lot of turnovers, got 2 interceptions, maybe 3. I can't remember how many it was, but I'm really impressed with our defense mostly.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And Cece, you mentioned something earlier I wanted to talk to you about because this was a concern of mine. You mentioned Deontay Lawson being out. And this is a guy that monster of a player. He's going to be probably day one pick in the NFL draft. But more importantly, he's a guy that can direct traffic on the field. He makes sure everybody is where they're supposed to be. And I was concerned going into this game, seeing the way that Hugh Freeze is able to scheme his offense and can make people miss if their eyes aren't where they're supposed to be. And Deontay is one of those guys who kind of neutralizes that. But he's out. And Justin Jefferson jumped in. And Justin Jefferson put on a masterclass. But what were your expectations for this defense? You just talked about Deontay going in versus what we saw tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I expected Justin Jefferson to do what he did. I mean, he's shown up throughout the season when he has gotten in to where you notice that instant impact when he's there. Now, a lot of times it does have to do with, whatever scheme we're calling at that time. But I do notice that he's a playmaker whenever he's out there. So I wasn't surprised by him. I think, you think about guys like Quay Russaw, the James Smith, just different guys, these younger guys and the impact that they made. I wasn't surprised at all by how the defense played. I want to say offensively, though, my expectations were for us to score more. So I had like 38-21 or something like that. I feel like we could have scored more. I expected us to have a bigger lead by halftime. I think there were a couple of missed opportunities, and maybe that had to do with, I believe we had like 3 turnovers in the first half alone. And so just that in and of itself can kind of take out some of that momentum. So I honestly believe that we could have had a larger lead to where we could have even on the Crimson Dynasty this week, I talked about the importance of those style points. And so when you're a team like Alabama, where you've already lost 3 games in the regular season, style points start to matter more. Now, yeah, we are SEC and it is Alabama, but you do kind of want to have those larger leads. I think the thing that's going to help us in this game in particular is, 1, the fact that Auburn has gotten a little better as the season progressed. And then 2, it's a huge rivalry game. So even if they've lost like 6 games, you still know they're going to put up a fight against Alabama. So overall, I would say I did expect us to. I felt like after the uproar after the game last weekend that Nick Sheridan, he knew like that fire had been lit under his behind. Lit for me, it's been under there like for the last few weeks, to be honest. But a lot of people were calling for him to get fired, after the loss against Oklahoma. So I had a feeling that we were going to draw up some better plays, I would say. So yeah, overall, I mean, somewhat what I expected.
Now, it's funny you talk about style points today. I'm listening to all the analysts, and one of those analysts I'll call he who must not be named because he looks like a Ninja Turtle, and see, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. But we'll go ahead and I'm not scared. Booger McFarland and Dan Orlovsky were making a strong case that the ACC had replaced the SEC in terms of strength. And we're making a case to put 2 ACC teams in over the SEC. So, yeah, if that mindset is trickling around the country and into the meeting rooms of the committee, style points are very important. So we really needed to make a statement tonight because there are going to be those with the SEC bias and the Alabama bias taking that into consideration. So
Yeah, I guess Booger. I guess he just doesn't watch the games, huh? I mean, I'm just.
Booger's
He just
Booger's
talks.
an idiot.
Basically, like what are you even talking about? I mean, just sit there and be quiet.
He was a good
like,
defensive tackle, but a moron when it comes to talking football.
Yeah, I mean, him changing him choosing to change his name to Booger says enough.
No.
I mean, that was literally a choice. So that says like I don't even want to hear what he has to say at this point. I mean, that was what.
I don't see any power team that's in the ACC. I thought it was Miami until they got beat by Georgia Tech. But they just go to show you once an ACC team meets their match is a blowout.
Yep.
And them playing against it, they can play against Vanderbilt and get blowed out. So is this football now? They can go in type of way. So you just can't say that the ACC is more powerful than the SEC. Never been. I don't think never will be.
No, not at all. They couldn't sustain the grind every single week. There's no question. You're right. Petty, we made you wait for a little bit. We wanted you to digest your Wingstop. So did you tip your driver there?
I did.
Your DoorDash driver?
Gotta eat this shit while it's hot too. Man, Monday I had Tyler Siskey on, who's he's coached with Saban at Alabama, but he coached with Hugh Freeze and Dave Womack at Ole Miss. And one of the points he brought up that was kind of a between the lines that everybody was on Womack after the Kane after the performance against Oklahoma, but he said, "Man, watch out this week against Hugh Freeze." He was on the staff with Hugh Freeze. He knew the plays that were coming. His dad was one of the coaches that got thrown under the bus by Hugh Freeze when Ole Miss got put on probation. This game meant a lot to Kane Womack. And trust me, he knew the offense that was coming. Hugh Freeze wasn't going to pull any annexation of Puerto Rico out that Dave Womack wasn't going to recognize as soon as they started the dumb crap. But on top of that, just the routine offense. And I thought you saw it tonight. Even with Lawson not playing, I thought Alabama's defense, I felt like they knew what was coming all night outside of, they got a few plays here and there. But I thought the defense really stepped up and had their number tonight. I thought Womack was prepared, and I was curious. I'm not the smartest football guy, but I try to surround myself with people that do know it, and I pay attention when they talk. And that was a big point he brought up, and that was the key between the game I was looking for tonight was Womack being dialed in on Hugh, and he was. Auburn, look, man, I know I would have liked for more points, but Auburn was really never a threat in that game. I never once felt like Auburn was a threat to win that game. Just wasn't. That look, I felt like Bama played with their food a little bit, so to speak.
That's a good way to say it, actually. Yeah.
It's just at any point Auburn didn't look like the better football team on that field. So yeah, I felt like they were dialed in. My expectations were Alabama was going to be the better team, that Auburn was going to come out feisty, that they were going to come out with some hope. I didn't know they were going to try to start fights. That's kind of new for the Iron Bowl. The Iron Bowl is not a big fighting game. That's more Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, South Carolina, Ole Miss State. It is. It's not that's one of the first times I've always kind of joked, like, you don't see many brawls in this game. When they started fighting, I got pumped. I was like, let's go. Let's clear some benches and kick their ass. But I thought they would come in feisty, but I thought Bama eventually would be the more polished, the better football team. And they were. Auburn wasn't ever a threat in that game. You know that, Chris. You're here because it's basketball. It was basketball season for you 2 months ago.
Bo, do you feel like the Wii made their ass quit? At any point, even though there were times in the game where they started, like Petty said, got a little feisty and made things a little bit interesting, and we had our turnovers. At any time, were you uncomfortable at all, or did you feel like we pretty much broke their will, but kind of like he said, play with our food?
I think, yeah. I mean, I think that we got them out their element because of the penalties that were called against them, and what they were trying to make us do is get off of our game and get into our head and make mistakes. But it's ended up reversing on them, and they ended up doing it to themselves and hurting themselves in situations that could have put them in a good situation to come back and win the game possibly. But the things that they did triggered on them and made them in a situation that they couldn't get out of, that made made the game even harder for them, like the trick play with their running back throwing the ball way across the field. That's just something that you doesn't do in that type of time of the game, and I just think that they also got out coached as well because
Yep.
of the play calling that we're calling. Those play doesn't get called unless you know for a fact that you have the defense on their toes and that they're gonna bite on that throw, and which we did not, which were good on our part. But I do feel like that we took their will because of they started to get out of the game and wanting to fight, which Alabama doesn't do in those type of situations because we have more class than that. It's just a game. Like they said, we fight on the field, not after the game. All the fighting is done on the field. So, but yeah, I think that we took that will because we got them out of that element.
Very well said.
No, you both. Alabama's the team that talks with their pads. Auburn's one that talks with their mouth.
There you go.
We got a nice super chat from Randy Bradley again. $5. The defense showed out. So many key players injured. These young guys did it. Yeah, shout out to the young guys. Keep the great shows coming, both. Thanks for all the blood, sweat, and tears. All right, real quick.
Sir, thank you.
Yes, sir. Still loved by Bama Nation, sir. All right, let's talk about the things that surprised us. I know for me, and then I'll hand it to Petty, then down to Cishi, then Bo, was the fact that the defense did not lose anything with Deontay Lawson being out. We've already talked about it, but that was a very big concern because, I mean, this is a guy who keeps everything the way it needs to be, and everyone feeds off of him. Jihad usually is feeding off of him, and he's allowed to do what he does best. Well, it felt like Justin Jefferson grew up right before our eyes and was the perfect complement to Jahia Campbell tonight. Mm-hmm. So, and then too, what surprised me was the fact the young guys grew up before our eyes again. We already talked about it a little bit. They're not freshmen anymore. They're not sophomores anymore. And they took all that on their shoulders and were able to carry the load. Bray Hubbard, Xavier Brown. Yeah, Xavier got beat on that one play because his eyes were in the backfield, and that just happens from time to time. Even the best will do that occasionally, but he almost caught up to him. But I feel like those young guys deserve a round of applause. But, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the surprises. Petty, what were you surprised about? And then, again, move to Cishi, then Bo.
Well, I was unpleasantly surprised last week with Sheridan's offensive game plan. I felt like it was discombobulated all night. We never got in a rhythm throughout the game. You like that?
Yes.
You just funny, man.
Did it show Bill O'Brien like tendencies?
But tonight, I felt like the offensive game plan was brilliant. I loved it. I loved it from A to Z. I thought the offense was in sync all night. I felt like Auburn's defense was on their heels, and Auburn could have done a lot of the same things Oklahoma did. I don't think they have a Stutzman back there, but Auburn's got some dudes on that defense. It's a pretty good defense. And I just love Sheridan's. I love the play calling tonight. I love the mix. I love the tight end mix. I love that we got Bernard so involved. That's the game I've been waiting to see from him all year. And I know he's shown flashes, but it just seemed like he was the guy. I thought he was going to be the guy coming out of the spring like that, and Williams would be the big pop play. And it seemed to fit that role a little more tonight. So I think my surprise was the offensive game plan and how well it was executed tonight. I thought it was a perfect game plan for this game and the way they did it.
Cishi?
Yeah, I would say my surprises are not necessarily like Alabama related per se. I would say one is the ongoing officiating issues we're seeing, not even just in our games, but across, football in and of itself. Just some of the poor calls that are being made and how I would say just the impact that those poor officiating calls could have, because even like that unsportsmanlike call against Devontae Smith and Malachi Moore, I thought that was straight garbage because, and I would hear commentators say sometimes that a lot of times the crew, they wouldn't necessarily see who started the issue or who caused it, but they would see the reactions to it. And I don't think that's necessarily right, because my thing is like, well, like you review mostly everything else, go back and look at that, because you can clearly see what actually caused that. So I'm just still that's kind of concerning because you see it across our games and other games across the even not just SEC, and it can really cost it could really cost games. So I think that's something that really needs to be looked into while they go and expand playoffs to 12 teams. It's like, well, what does that really matter if it's down to the wire and then you have random calls being made that could really cost you? But then I would say the second thing that surprised me was how much of a non-factor that little raggedy linebacker from Auburn, DeMarcus Riddick, how much of a non-factor he was. Like, how you do all that talk? And I know we kind of touched on it, but I was just literally thinking, like, just like that saying goes, how the loudest in the room is the weakest in the room. I'm like, how can you do all that talking? Like, so you knew that you weren't going to really do much on the field, so you wanted to go ahead and get your time on camera. Like, is that what that was? You know what I mean, Bo? Like, you knew that you weren't going to really do much on the field, and you knew they weren't going to be talking about you, so you wanted to go ahead and get talked about. I mean, that's just what Auburn does. But I would say those are the main things that surprised me, because everything else would be more so either positive or negative takeaways that we're going to get to next. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Understandable. Petty, you wanted to add something before Bo takes the baton?
Yeah, before Bo takes over. CC, I talked about that in my mailbag segment on Tuesday with the Final Whistle. If you're not watching my mailbag segment, it's probably the most brilliant piece of writing on all of the interwebs. But
The mailbag?
The mailbag.
Nobody wants to be a ref. Like, did you grow up knowing anybody says, hey, yeah, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to play in the NBA, I want to play in the NFL, I want to be a ref? There wasn't no valedictorian sitting up on their high school graduation saying, and tonight, after this, I will be headed to ref school. Don't nobody want to do that shit. So it's like nobody wants to do it. So we just got these fat dudes that eat hot dogs at high school football games that become refs. And they're like, shit, that's all we got. Like, nobody wanted to do it. Name one person in your life that wanted to be a ref growing up that had anything but.
I don't know what.
Exactly. Sorry, that's why.
Like,
That's why.
Bo, did you want to be a ref coming out of Utah?
Nah, man, I didn't even think about no ref.
Exactly.
Man, well, talk to me about what surprised you about this game, brother.
I know I talked about the defense a lot and how they play, but what really surprised me is that the way how Ryan Williams played and his reaction and his character was really surprising to me, because the guy didn't catch the ball that he was supposed to catch. He wasn't a factor. He fumbled on the first drive of the play, and not once did you see him put his head down, pout, or get discouraged or anything. His whole motive through the game was strictly positive. He ran every play hard, like he was getting the ball. He did everything that he was supposed to do. And by him being a freshman, most freshmen you would have seen getting frustrated, getting discouraged because they're not catching the ball that they're supposed to catch on a team that's he only a couple miles away from his hometown. And it just showed that he have class and that he's grown than where he really is, and that he's a team player and that he's not about all himself. And I was really surprised at the way that how he handled that. And that's the type of stuff that guys handle as a third year, fourth year type of guy. But he handled that situation very well. And I'm really surprised at his character and the way how he handled it.
Well, it's funny, Bo. Earlier in the week, you called him out. You said that he needed to be a leader in this game. And no, like you said, he didn't have those catches. He dropped a sure touchdown. He missed on a couple of things. He fumbled. But you talked about how he needed to be a leader. And sometimes a leader just is not making the big catches. It's not making the big play. It's about responding in the face of adversity and still going forward, and then also helping the guys around you go forward. So, man, it's like you called every aspect of this game step by step. And, yeah, thanks for pointing that out, man. That was a huge part of this game right there. No one hanging their head. Larez Moody. Sorry,
I just said that's how we all have to be.
I love it. Leadership mentality. Larez Moody, $5. The defense has not been the problem since the UGA game. The problem has been the offense and the fact we forgot we had running backs. We didn't forget tonight. Well, could have had more carries for sure. All right. So now this, if you want to nitpick, this is definitely the segment to do it. The positive and not so positive takeaways. Cece, we'll start with you and then go to Bo, then Petty. What were the things you saw that kind of made you smile a little bit? Well, there's a lot of those, but things that you're like, come on, we're still doing this. I think the come on, you're still doing this part could probably be applied to Elijah Pritchett and Caden Proctor, who seem to not like contact and were revolving doors, which I thought that Caden had overcome a lot of that. But in the second half of the season, for whatever reason, he started to regress. But he's a young guy. He'll figure it out. Elijah Pritchett still having the same issues that were often a liability. And this show, it was a show tonight for sure. This game could have taken a different direction had Auburn capitalized off of some of those turnovers that were created because of him, but it didn't. So, but I'm going to let you take over. What were the positive and not so positive takeaways?
Yeah, for positive, I was more so looking at what we did on those early downs, first and second down, because I know in Crimson Dynasty, one thing that Dan mentions a lot is in order to win third down is you have to do well on first and second. And so I was watching how, of course, we were running Jalen Milroe more, which honestly, 2 years ago, I was saying when Bill O'Brien was sitting up there in that booth, I kept saying that Jalen Milroe, he was that guy. He's been that guy, and it just seems like we've been having coordinators that just, they don't understand the importance of the run game in the SEC, and maybe that means that we need to get coordinators from the SEC. Maybe they'll understand it a little bit more. But the key thing was what we did on first and second down, and I noticed how we worked in more receivers, but also those tight ends. So whether it was Josh Cuevas, CJ Dupree, Robbie Oots, just seeing the distribution of the ball across the different receivers, and then seeing Jam and Justice had a touchdown, just seeing them get their hands on the ball. That was a thing that I was kind of, I'm more impressed by and more happy about. But then as far as the negatives, the biggest thing that I'm seeing is still just the weaknesses at the tackle, the left and the right tackle, which you mentioned, Caden Proctor and Elijah Pritchett. But we've been saying throughout the season, Robbie Oots literally said a couple months ago in an interview that he would prefer to be blocking anyway. So I don't understand why we could have had him at right tackle. I don't know. I feel like he's fast, he's big, he can block, or at least keep him off to the side of Pritchett. I don't know, but I feel like just that tackle. That's why sometimes Jalen, he has to rush and throw the ball away, or he's scrambling sometimes, just because we seem to cave a little bit more frequently than we should. So that was one issue. But then also the turnovers, that was a negative for me, because we had, I believe, 3 in the first half. And my thing is, like, thank God that Auburn wasn't better than they were, because having 3 turnovers in the first half against a better team, you could actually be behind at halftime because of that. So that was something that bothered me a bit, especially, at home, because I question, okay, well, if we played this game at Auburn, what would that have looked like, So, but those are my positives and negatives.
Very well said. Bo?
I'm going to answer what one of our people said in the comment, that defense not the problem, it was offense. Well, you can't stop the run in a 4-2-5 defense. So that's one thing. That's a problem. So clear that up. We get out of 4-2-5 defense, we would be able to stop the run last week, which we couldn't. But again, the positive things for me that I took from it is, again, man, our defense. And the reason why I'm so stuck on our defense, because we've been playing this one high safety defense, and it's just been getting us torn apart. And we haven't been doing so good at it. And tonight we came out with a nail front, and they made it look like 3 down linemen when they actually 4, and collapsing the pocket again. And it was just amazing. And these guys had takeaway, had interceptions, to seal the game, to change the momentum of the game, to change the point of the game, to give the offense momentum and confidence to come out, to be able to drive the ball down the field and let Jalen Milroe score with his legs. And I was very happy with Jalen Milroe starting to use his leg more than he usually does. I think that he used to try to stay in the pocket and be more of a pocket passer quarterback to show everyone that he can actually throw. But tonight, I think that he took the opportunities of the holes that were there, and that he ran very hard and fought for extra yard, failed for 3 to 4 yards every time that he ran. And The not so positive, again, like she said, the fumbles and the turnovers and penalties that we had as a offense and defense, and Justin, for me, I'm a disciplined guy that penalties is a thing that really bothers me because of I played on a team that we only had 1 or 2 penalties a game that which was the reason why we won a lot of games because of that we didn't make a lot of mistakes, and that's the only not so positive thing that I have to say about them is that get rid of the penalties, and I think that we'll be a complete Alabama team.
Absolutely, could not agree more. All right, sir.
I just know I just know he about to be serious, then throw a joke, then be
about
serious.
To say something, say something quick.
You know him so well, Bo.
It ain't gonna be funny if you give my punchline away. I mean, because I was gonna add in the fact that when that brawl came out, that Malachi didn't throw a left hook that happened to land on Hugh Freeze's dumbass face. That was one not so positive.
You know what I'm talking about?
I mean, is that what you mean? Do you mean that when I'm talking about a joke? Or the fact that God, A&M is the weirdest bunch of people on planet Earth.
I know you're mesmerized by the yell.
Hey, did you finish your food, Patty? Because I saw you kind of.
No, yeah, the fries are getting cold. Once the fries get cold, it's over. So I might as well just quit.
Yeah, I saw him get a little mad, so I could tell it was probably getting a little cold.
These fries are cold. It's done. The turnovers, you got to clean that up. We're this far in. There's just still some things that, and I don't know if it's the new era of football, what we're dealing with. Like Bo said, man, y'all won so many games because y'all were a machine. Y'all were literally a machine. It wasn't all that exciting all the time because it wasn't all this crazy shit that won y'all ball games. Y'all had a process. Y'all stuck to it. Y'all played clean. Y'all didn't have turnovers. You created turnovers. You didn't have penalties unless it was just something crazy. And it's just we're this far into the season. You still see some of that stuff. And so, I mean, I don't know. That's got to hopefully get cleaned up. I don't, you'd like to see that. But I'm man, it's Iron Bowl. We kicked Auburn's ass. I guess wish we'd have beat them 42-0. That's the not so positive takeaway. I wish it'd have been a bigger ass kicking. Other than that, man, team came out after a week where, let's be real, we as a fan base were questioning, was this team going to show up for the damn Iron Bowl? The season effectively got ended unless some really crazy stuff happens as far as playoff pictures and championships, which is, guess what we play for at the capstone. We're here to win championships. That's what Alabama does. I got taken away last week. I was expecting the team to possibly not show up and get popped in the mouth by Auburn and leave a bad taste in our mouth going into the offseason. And they didn't do that. So there's no negative on a night where this team showed up, did what Alabama was supposed to do, and beat Auburn's ass.
Okay.
I still would have loved to see Hugh Freeze take a left hook in that.
That would have been hilarious.
I mean, I don't think there's a massage parlor that can fix a broke jaw.
It's 2 people on this panel that used to love Hugh Freeze now.
What, man?
And it wasn't sushi.
It sure wasn't me.
Bo, no, it's Bo. It's like that girl though. She was hot, and then she did you dirty, and then you realize how dirty she was, and you're like, damn, that bitch was dirty.
Oh my God.
It's like,
what's wrong with you?
I loved you. I loved you. So did Bo. Bo and me loved you back in the day. We
went with Hugh to Ole Miss.
Bo was almost a rebel.
Dang.
Yeah.
And then
you chose right though, Bo. You chose.
He did. Right. Oh, and I've told him that a million times. Bo made the best career move of all time.
Yeah.
University of Alabama as a running back. It couldn't.
Oh yeah.
You can thank Tyler Siskey as well. He was a part
Tyler
of
Siskey, our buddy.
Thanks to Tyler Siskey, because if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have been at Alabama.
Man, y'all hear that, folks? We almost didn't have him, but we got him when it counted.
Cause he was at Ole Miss, and he recruited hard. Him and Coach Barney, and then you know about Barney,
I don't know anything. I plead the fifth.
That's not what you say in our group texts. Anyway.
I know.
But we got the standard of limitations going on. Well, we got a question. It's a super chat from EWC Clothing before we move on to our next topic. $4.99. Thank you very much. Are we at risk for losing Kobe and Law in the portal?
We better not be.
Who wants to talk about that?
I don't
Honestly, I'll let y'all talk about this. I think what they should do is give the coaching staff an opportunity to show them how they can get them more involved next year. And there's a great opportunity because this offense is going to take on a completely different personality because Jalen Milroe is going on to the NFL. He's already graded as a day 1, day 2 at the most pick. So this takes on a different mantra with either Ty Simpson or Austin Mack or maybe even Keelan Russell. So if Coach Sheridan and Coach DeBoer can give them a blueprint of what it will look like, I think they may be willing to stay based on what this offense can be with any of those quarterbacks. What do y'all think? Who wants to take it? Bo?
I agree with you, Justin. We have the number 3 overall player coming in, Keelan Russell from Duncanville, Texas, and I think that those guys should, give him a chance, and because I want to watch this guy play, man. This guy is the real deal. Like he's not looking to run the ball at all whatsoever. Like he wants to throw it, and that's what he does. And he only lost one high school game since he's been starting as a quarterback, and he's been starting off 4 years. And he's a state championship guy 3 times, and I think that Keelan Russell was he already up to par, changing the plays at the line of scrimmage already, knowing what type of defense they in, and I think that he's the guy that can come in and contribute early if he learned the playbook as fast as he could, like a quarterback supposed to. And by watching his body language and his character, man, he's a great player. He's a great guy all around, and I just think those guys should give those guys a chance. Give those quarterback a chance. Don't leave them hot and dry. At least give them a chance to prove themselves, and because you can get in the portal at any time. And I just think that they just should stay committed to the program and trust the system. And if you good, then you good. You don't need to transfer. They gonna find you. The NFL gonna find you. Even if you go to West Alabama, they gonna find you wherever you at. And Robert Foster barely played at Alabama, had a great career. Levi Wilder was a walk-on, played 1 year at Alabama, and still playing in the NFL 7 years later. So, guys, you don't have to leave to play in the NFL. Like, they gonna find you.
Man, very well said. So there you go. That's the answer right there. We're going to stick with that. Don Parker, $5. I admit that I'm a bit disappointed that the Bams didn't skull drag the barn tonight. We still have too many missed tackles and missed blocks. Yeah, we could definitely harp on that. But the thing is, when you have a victory over your rival, and not just a victory, one that's a 14-point difference, you gotta be happy about that and kind of put all the negative aside. And we're gonna talk about all that stuff during the off season. But tonight, things are right in Tuscaloosa for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I just say, like, okay, he said something about the blocking and all that, but yeah, everyone, we want to have a perfect game, but we know that there's gonna be mistakes. Like, a missed assignment is gonna happen. It's all about how do you respond in the next play. Like, so what that you were holding on this play, what you gonna do about it the next play? It's all about what you gonna do next. So, like, of course, like, we didn't play a game where we didn't have any penalties. It was very rare to happen. We didn't have no mistakes. It was very rare to happen. Of course, we're gonna have mistakes. Of course, it's gonna be things that are gonna be a turning point in the game. It's football. It's part of the game. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, of course, we would not like to have mistakes, but you gotta be real and know that mistakes gonna happen. We just don't know when.
Yep, absolutely. That's what we got to look at. And again, biggest takeaway is we won by
There you go.
14
Roll
points.
Tide.
Roll Tide.
And then
All right.
barring a miracle where chaos happens and they slip us in the playoff, I mean, season's over at this point. We're going to be those guys that are missing the blocks and the tackles might not be there next year. So
That's true. But
one Iron Bowl, let's go.
it's funny you mentioned that because that's a great segue to our next segment as we start to wind down just a little bit. We do this every show after a game. We kind of assess where we're at. And since we don't really have an opponent just yet, or we don't know our next opponent just yet, we can't assess our comfort level with who we're facing next. Maybe it's Coach Prime, which probably be the most watched bowl game in history if we don't slip into the playoffs. I can only imagine the marketing for that will be just out of this world, probably watched more than the playoffs itself. But let's talk about Alabama going forward. What are our expectations? How do we feel? If you want to talk about the playoffs, do you feel like Alabama actually has a shot? Or if our fate is the bowl game, the finale, do you see players opting out? If so, who? Let's talk about it. Start us out, Bo, then Cishi, then Petty.
For me, I think that once we get in the playoff, like I said, that we's the type of team that if we get a week off, whoever we play, we're gonna kick your ass definitely. and and then we and we're gonna have that opportunity to do that. But I think that once we get into the playoff and get started, that I think that we're gonna be unstoppable because of Ron Williams. I believe that he's gonna put in 10 times the work because of this game. They're gonna motivate him for the next game with whoever we may be playing. And I don't. For me, I don't. From what on the outside looking at these guys' character and the way that how they act, I don't see any guy opting out if we don't get into the playoff because they seem like they play with so much passion and poise and that they determined to win and want to play with each other. And you can tell by them, like the coaches ain't come over there until late during the fight because the players were breaking it up themselves from Alabama, which
Yep.
is Coach Saban recommended. It's a players team, and that's how they did it until I guess it got out of control. But those guys playing together, taking care of each other, I don't think that. And plus, Tyler Booker and his leadership, the way how he lead, I don't think that those guys would let anyone opt out a game because of they don't want to have that losing on their record. And I think that it's an opportunity for each and every one of those players to actually show their character if we doesn't get into the playoff, to show what type of player that they are. And Justin, I mentioned this last year that if we don't get in the playoff, it's just a way of showing the NFL that you're a team player and that you're a leader and that you is about the team and not about yourself.
Absolutely. And that weighs in heavily in the whole draft process for sure. And I think this age of athlete, they don't really see that, but it's weighed heavily. And Bo, you speak on it because you went through it. You experienced it. You know what they're going to ask about. They're going to ask you why you didn't do this or why you did that, things like that. They're going to break everything down and nitpick more than these guys are giving these folks credit for. But see, she talk on it. Bama going forward. Do you see a playoffs in the future? Do you see a bowl game? Are we going to be facing Coach Prime? Look good, feel good, play good.
I'm gonna say this. See, Alabama is a school where we set our sight. I mean, I'm not trying to say that the bowl games don't matter. They do. But my thing is whatever keep the main thing. That's the national championship. And see, it would be the playoff committee would be contradicting themselves if they were to say that a 3-loss SEC team, a 3-loss Power 5 conference team could not get in. Like they would be contradicting themselves because that was one of the reasons why it shifted from a 4 team to a 12 team to begin with. Remember when Florida State was up there crying along with Booger McFarland when they were crying because they got left out, and then they were complaining about Alabama getting in XYZ. So my thing is that you can't justify keeping out a Alabama or even a Georgia with 3 losses. I know Georgia doesn't have 3, but a team like Alabama or Georgia with 3 losses, you can't justify keeping them out of a 12 team. I could see if it was still a 4 team or even an 8 team possibly.
Yeah.
But I feel like a 12 team playoff, you can't. Just a couple weeks ago, Alabama had the most wins against ranked opponents. So that has to mean something. Now, I know last week after we lost to Oklahoma, a lot of us were basically saying, like, do we deserve to go to the playoffs? A lot of us said, like, the way that we're playing, the way that we're coaching, the inconsistencies, we didn't really, a lot of us said no. So if they can do what they did against LSU, if they can do what they did tonight, if they can do what they did against Georgia in the first half and do it consistently, like, I don't want to see, it's no point in going, and this is more so to the coaches, it's literally no point in going to the playoffs or getting excited about it if you're going to pick and choose which teams you're going to show up against. You're going to pick and choose, okay, we're going to play Colorado for this game, so we're not going to really, we should go in and beat them. Like, no, you have to take every single one serious or just don't go at all. And that's my biggest thing. And that goes down to the players as well, the Jalen Milroe as a leader, but then all the players, you can't be sitting up there dropping passes just because, we're playing a Colorado or whatever. The teams are good. You know what I mean? Even including Colorado. So you can't go in with that mindset. So I feel like from a legal perspective, when you look at the verbiage in terms of what the college football playoff is saying, as far as what's written down on paper, they can't justify keeping a 3-loss Alabama out, being that we have won against more ranked opponents than a 1 or 2-loss team. That wouldn't even make sense. And at that point, it becomes a bigger issue than just Alabama. So I feel like, yes, we can get in, considering Ohio State just got another loss. That's their second loss. Of course, they're not out, but it repositions them in terms of the bracket. But then Miami, of course, they're out. They got their second loss, but both losses were against unranked teams, Georgia Tech and Syracuse. And then you have Clemson just got their 3rd loss. So we're definitely moving up. We're definitely going to be in the top 12. I just feel like for the coaches and even the position coaches, y'all got to take this stuff seriously. Like, don't embarrass us anymore. Like, a lot of us are tired at this point. Like, a lot of us are just tired. So if you're going to go, actually drop a game plan that wins, that works. Like, stop picking and choosing what game you actually want to drop, something that actually looks like something worth watching. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like I would be excited to see Alabama. I said at the beginning of the season, national championship is in Atlanta this year. I want to be all up in that, but if we don't go, then I'll be somewhere else. But my thing is that I would rather us sit it out than go up there and embarrass ourselves. Like, we're not a Florida State. We're not a Florida State. We don't want to just go just because, we're Florida. No, I would rather us just sitting on out, but I don't want to get a bowl game. So I want to see the coaches step up, draw up winning game plans for every single team. Don't overlook any. I don't care if it's an SMU. I don't care if it's in Indiana, whoever it is. Like, we have to get out there and beat Alabama. Otherwise, they can leave too. The coaches can leave. Because we need better coaches. If that's the way that you think, that's not the Alabama standard.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Petty, you want to be the voice of, I don't know, reason would be the right word, or you want to be Nostradamus? You want to talk about betting that might be going on here? But
I'm gonna get real, because I'm either gonna make you happy or piss you off in my comments here. Like, it's 2 ways, man.
Or make a joke.
Yeah, no jokes here. This is wait and see mode. Chaos happened today. And I know I don't feel like 3 lost teams probably deserve it after the way they played, because they should have taken care of business on the field. But that's not the world we live in. The world we live in is chaos has happened today, and Bama's number 13, and people in front of them have fallen. With that said, like, you're going to have the South Carolina, Bama, Ole Miss 3-team argument. And I'm sorry for Ole Miss and South Carolina. The playoff committee wants Alabama in. It's facts of the matter. Bama you talked about it. Bama played Colorado, the views. It would blow up the damn ratings. Colorado gets watched because of Prime. Alabama gets watched in every game because they're Alabama. You know what college football is about above everything? Money. You know what Alabama is? Money. You know what Alabama in the playoffs is? Money. So you're damn right. If they can find a way to put Alabama in these freaking ass playoffs, Alabama is going to be in the playoffs, because Alabama is money, regardless of people like it or not. They are the name brand of college football. And if they can put Alabama in, and now they can justify it because teams have lost in front of them. So, man, I almost feel like, man, hold our horses, wait and see, because I think the playoffs are a real damn possibility. And, again, Alabama's power is power. You want to talk politics? People keep talking about politics in the thread. Yeah, the political game works in Alabama's favor when it comes to college football because we're the damn kingpin, is what it is. People get mad about it. Ole Miss side, my Ole Miss side's going to be mad. I can't get mad because I know what it is, man. Alabama's a bigger draw. They've got better wins, so they can justify it if they put them in. And they're going to bring the ratings. It just is what it is. On the flip side, if they don't get in, for some reason they decide not to let any of the three, or that Bama doesn't slip in, I don't think bowl games mean shit. I hope everybody that's a draft pick opts the hell out and goes on. Milroe, Malachi, all of you. I don't want to see you in a bowl game that doesn't make a hill of beans shit. I want to see the next year's guys because I want to get excited about what we got next at quarterback, what we got next coming up at receiver, the young guys at DB, because the Rely Quest Outback Poulam Weed Eater, whatever the hell the name of the sponsor is, doesn't mean shit anymore. And I don't care if guys that aren't going to be here next year playing a game that don't mean shit. So give me the new guys. Y'all opt out. You get your bowl packages, go down, sit on the sideline, drink you a martini the night before, cheer on the team. But no, let me see the new guys. Let everybody opt out. I don't care.
Pina colada.
If you like making love at midnight.
What?
Getting caught in the rain.
Yes,
Petty, what you got in that red cup? Because I see you.
Yeah.
That red cup making you acting foolio.
And is your version available on iTunes?
Yes. Under the scare off all the barn animals section.
All right, real quick before we name our players of the game, got a super chat here from Mano. $5. Coach DeBoer with a week to prepare in the playoffs. I like our chances. Well, we're going to find out here shortly within the coming weeks. All right, so now this is the season finale. So let's talk about who the players of this game were. Cici, I want you to start. Give me offense and defensive. Then we'll go to Bo and then Petty.
Well, y'all know I like to give two on each side. I mean, I just have to. Now, I could say the entire defense, but I want to name two players in particular. So I'm going to start with the offense. Offensive, of course, Jalen Milroe. I mean, this is a guy that I'm like, I'm just glad to see him getting his carries. That's all I can say. So Jalen Milroe and then Jeremy Bernard, of course. But then on defense, I have to say Tim Keenan, but also Devontae Smith. Let me tell y'all, it was a play. I think it was maybe in the first or second quarter. Devontae Smith almost knocked the soul out of that guy. Like he was almost on his way to the pearly gates. I don't remember who it was that he
the
hit.
upper room.
He was about to see if his name was in the Lamb's Book of Life. Like the way he hit that dude, I was like, y'all got to send a prayer for him. Y'all got to touch and agree because the way
he was going to sing "Take Me to the King," wasn't he?
Yes, and he was about to be taken to the king. Like he got knocked out, but not just that. With the way he went over there to that sideline, and I'm cheering him on when he was fighting. I'm like, yeah, knock that head off because I can't stand Auburn. I literally cannot stand Auburn, and he did physically what a lot of us want to do to them. And so I'm just like, I mean, you just got to do it. Like you just have to do it. Like I understand that the Iron Bowl is typically not a game where it gets to that point. I'm surprised it hasn't, but they do a lot. They talk a lot. And so it's just like at some point it's going to boil over. And that was really a cheap shot on the Auburn player that didn't get called. So of course it wasn't, right how that played out. But I'm just like, look, if they gonna throw out that little raggedy flag anyway, go ahead and do what you got to do. And you doing what a lot of us have been wanting to do against them because they shouldn't have been in Tuscaloosa in the first place. Like they need to stay down there in raggedy Auburn with their L's because they had no business being there in the first place. So those are my two. Like, I mean, they can call it for 15 yards. I could care less. Like that call should not have been on Malachi and Devontae Smith. And to be honest, if I was on defense, that whole defense should have been over there. Like everybody should have been fighting. Like they so raggedy. They just run their mouth. Hugh Freeze should have got popped. Like every single one of them. Every single one of them. So I was all for it. Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So they just got what they needed and they got sent back home. It's going to be a long bus ride because I'm sure they're not buying plane tickets for them. It's going to be a long bus ride on Greyhound for them to go back to Auburn where they belong. Like, ew, they are disgusting. They are absolutely disgusting. Looking like just, they literally disgust me like through and through. There's literally nothing about Auburn that's worth talking about. Like, I'm surprised that there's still even like an institution that exists. Like they should just be gone. I'm so tired of them. And then they
don't even have sorority houses, see she.
I mean, that's what they're horrible. It's like complete garbage.
No, they consider sorority houses brothels.
He's not lying.
Not the brothels. Get out of here, weirdos.
He's not lying.
Just disgusting. So they deserve to get popped the way that they did. I'm glad. I love the physicality. That's the team where you're like, you know what? I'll take that 15-yard penalty because I'm about to take some heads off. Like, y'all been running y'all mouths all week just because y'all finally not throwing 4 to 5 interceptions in one game. Y'all think y'all somebody. Like, absolutely not. Like, go back to where you belong because you ain't no winner. Like, nah, we ain't doing that over here. Like, don't get me started. Y'all go ahead and talk because I'll go completely off. Like, I cannot stand Auburn at all. Like, every time we have this game, it literally disgusts me. Like, the fact that they're considered a rival. Who you rivaling against? Like, what you mean? You're never up to par to Alabama. Like, stay down there. They're so disgusting. They are so disgusting. So roll Tide. Like, roll Tide, roll. And Chris is checked out. Chris is checked out because he know what time it is. They raggedy stuff. I can't stand them. Looking like blueberries, like I always say, with them raggedy colors that they wear. Like, no.
This just in, Auburn indeed is going back in crop dusters. So there's that. Bo, your players of the game.
On the offensive side, I'm gonna go with Ryan Williams because of the type of player that he are. Unselfish player. And I also have to go with Jalen Milroe for using his legs tonight as we've been wanting for a very long time. And on the defensive side, I'm going to go with the whole defensive line and my boy Malachi. Because, you know, the way how he handled business and stood up, they look like Ronnie Harrison and Reuben Foster back there, like playing him, and Mika Fitzpatrick. Like, that's the type of player that I love watching. Like, I love watching him every week. And he just bring that to the game. And, yeah. Those guys did their thing, and I wish I was out there playing with them just to be around the atmosphere, how they act.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Patty?
For all my, I know this is probably going to send shockwaves to my fan base out there. But, man, there's no doubt you got to give it to Milroe tonight. I thought he played one hell of a ball game. I thought it was one of his best games in Crimson tonight. Just kept making plays, and I'm going to throw Bernard in there with it because I thought that just so many big plays when they needed to be made tonight to extend drives. And then, like you said, with his feet, Bo, he's got that one-step move, that make-you-miss move that's just freaking magical to watch. It really is. It's fun to watch that kid when he gets going. When they say he looks like I've never seen someone hit the sideline since Vic like he does when he turns that corner. So him and Bernard, and then on defense, man, the guys that popped, Keenan was popping early, but Malachi Moore popped all night. He brought it tonight in his final game. I thought Moore was thought he left it out on the field tonight. And I feel like Moore's going to call a lot of criticism some this year in games and some questionable times, but can't question the heart he left on the field tonight. So
I love it. Now it's hard, as we've already discussed, to pick just one. On the offensive side of the ball, I will go with Jam Miller. I mean, he was running the ball hard all night, but you also got to look at what he was doing when he didn't have the ball. Great blocks, unselfish play, serving as a lead blocker, awesome in pass pro. There are several times had he not made key blocks that Jalen would have gotten absolutely killed. But that's just kind of been how he is the whole season. I hadn't seen him complain once. He just keeps playing, and whatever you ask him to do, he's going to do it. Very unselfish. And then I got to go also with Jaden Roberts, a guy who has been battling with injury all year long, but has never said, Coach, take me out. He just keeps pushing through, regardless of how much pain he's in. And he was moving people tonight. He was letting everybody know this is how I'm leaving my senior year, senior night, Saban Field. Jaden Roberts' legacy, you're going to remember it. And then on the defensive side of the ball, hard to pick it, but I got to go with our guy, Tim Keenan III. We've had him on this network before. We spent time with him. Just a down-to-earth, godly man, but a man that you never had to question his work ethic. He's going to come with it every single play. Might not be flashy all the time. Tonight he was. He was driving people back. He looked like Quentin Williams, tossing people around, dropped Peyton Thorne. I think his soul left his body on that.
Yeah.
He's in the backfield making Jarquez Hunter have question his life decisions at that point. Got to give it up to the senior. But those are my picks. So real quick, before we head out, let's go around the room, tell folks how they can find you. And we'll start out with Pay, then down to C. And then Bo, who I hope will be on the Bama Standard next Tuesday night.
Awesome.
Definitely will.
Yes, sir.
You can find me on Twitter, X at Petty_Daniel. And then I'm all over the network. Monday nights, I'm with my man Gerald Smoke Dixon at 7 Central on the opening kick. And then Tuesday night after the flagship, the Bama Standard, I'm on the final whistle at 8 Central. That's with my man Matt Cadell, Chris James, Dan James, Lushawn Graves, Ty Hayes, always cutting it up. And then Thursday night, we haven't completely turned the page to basketball season, but we're getting there. And if you haven't paid attention, we got a damn good team on the hardwood. We are coming at you on Thursday night with Going Hard in the Paint. JT's running the 1s and 2s with Herb and me. We're going to be talking Alabama basketball all season, what looks to be a badass season. As always, I'm on the post-game show, which we don't know when the next one will be. So whenever we play again, I guess you'll see us. And then I'm getting back again on Mondays. That's where you find me, all over the network.
Well, if I make what's that?
Hotty toddy. I hear you, Bo. You're going to get me in trouble, man. They know that. Everybody. And I'm half hotty toddy, half roll tide.
If we make the playoffs, we can have a post selection show. So there's that.
Yeah.
Ishi.
Well, I have to first say hi to my nephew. Hi, Caden, because he's actually watching right now. He hasn't watched before. He's only 4 years old, but apparently he's like, based on a message I just got, he's like waving to the screen and saying, hi, TT. So hi, Caden. But you can find me every Wednesday night right here on the Bama Standard Network. My show is Crimson Dynasty, where I host it, and I have 2 awesome co-hosts. So it's every Wednesday night at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And then you can find me on X at official Sishi, and then on Instagram at beauty_of_intelligence. So, and you can find me off in Auburn, Lincoln, letting know. Because I'm going to link all day long up in Auburn. Play if you want to. Play if you want to. DeMarcus Riddick. We definitely link tonight. Running your mouth.
Burn down your house. You better clean it now.
Bo, it's very real. You talked about it earlier.
Hey, Bo, somebody's asking where Will Conformably went to school. I told him he played at your high school in Tuscaloosa, Northridge. Sorry. I forget.
Right,
it hit
Bo.
me. That was one of the 7 high schools you played at.
You say what now?
I said it hit me when someone was asking where Formby played for, that it was one of the 7 high schools you played at.
Oh, 7 high. Yeah, I told you what, I'm a man of opportunity. So I'm going to take every opportunity to get it.
And you did.
Whoever said, come to their school, live better, I'm going to come check it out. I don't want to have no regrets, no wishes. I wish I would have. No, not at all. I'm happy for everything that I did. Every opportunity, I took it.
So you're the original portal guy, but in high school.
There you go. You know what I'm saying? I feel so bad because I'm on the phone with the coach and I'm knowing that I'm leaving the next day, transferring the next day. He like, yeah, man, I can't wait to get this thing started. I'm like, yes, sir, coach, me too. He's like the first day of like camp. So, that's like deep in the second month. And I'm on the phone like, this dude just don't know. I'm leaving tomorrow. Like, I just,
you just don't know.
You just have no idea. But where can they find you on the interwebs, Bo?
You can find me, Bo Scarborough, on all social media except for TikTok. That's the only one I don't.
Is it coming?
No, not at all. Bo Scarborough on all social media. There's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitter. I mean Snapchat. Sorry, guys. And Justin said I'll be back on here Tuesday. So I will be back on here Tuesday, giving y'all some more football smart information for the guys
There you go.
who doesn't know anything about defenses or offenses or play calling or game situations. I can break it down for you because some of y'all are just illiterate.
Bo, hey, Bo, question. So when you're joining this week, I have a request for y'all's show. Can you would you mind talking about, I guess, like the impact of Ackland Deer coming in, the running back that we're getting next year, and basically like how we can work him in? Because considering the guy, like we got Kevin Riley, Daniel Hill already, considering who we already have, how, especially with your skill set and how you played, how do you see Ackland fitting in, and how do they keep him encouraged that he's going to get touches? Because to me, he's the type of guy that you do want to work in, even in his first year. I don't know if they would redshirt him, but I would like to see him play when he gets there.
I could answer that question for you right now, but I can.
No, can you? I want to. Yeah. Go ahead and answer now, and then maybe you can elaborate on it.
You said that AK Deer made you think that you were watching you.
That's why I asked you.
And is watching those. So now that I understand what like my teammate used to be talking about in high school when they used to watch him play, they used to be like, "Bro, it's like you just flowing, like you're not even running," and I used to do things that I didn't know I did until I watched the film and watching this guy play. And I'm like, I'm wondering, do he know that he doing this type of stuff when he playing? Because when it's just like it's a second nature to him. Like it's just like he instant is like a muscle memory. Like, all right, here we come. I'm gonna do this, and like it's like he have an ego that's playing. It's not really him that's playing, and for this guy to stay courage, you just have to be committed to the program. And like when I committed to Alabama, I was the 9th running back that were going into Alabama. So you got to have faith and, leave it up to the man upstairs. As long as you do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, how you're supposed to do it, and buy into the system and keep your nose clean while you're there and pick up on the playbook and do everything you're supposed to do, then there should be no reason why he should not be playing, because the physicality and the athleticism is there. It's just the whole thing of how fast can he pick up the playbook? How fast can he pick up these blocking schemes? Do he know who the Mike is? Do he know who the Sam is? Because of some teams run plays where they only have one linebacker on the field, but you have to account D lineman for linebackers. Do he know how to coordinate that? Do he know what a TE stunt is? Do he know what an ET stunt is? And if he can pick up on that quickly, I think that we'll see spurts of him his first year. And then I think that he'll be a guy that can be a 1-2 punch with whoever in the backfield his following year, because I think that he's going to progress more as he grows.
Okay.
That answer your question, Cece?
Yeah, but I think what stood out the most with how you answered that is almost like it's almost like a mirror, like you seeing yourself in him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like to have like that type of analogy or a comparison. I mean, that speaks volumes. And I'm sure if he heard this, that I think that would influence him a lot. And I think he would appreciate that comparison because he knows what you did at Alabama. And I think that would, really motivate him. So yeah, that's definitely good to hear. Cause like, I feel like guys, even like the Ryan Williams of the world, where they're naturally talented. And it's like that, like you say, your second nature. You don't even realize that what you're doing is something that is just so, outside of the norm, because it comes second nature to you. It's like, and that's kind of what you're saying about what you see with him. So, I mean, I guess that just lets the Bama Nation know what we have coming in and what to look forward to, because I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope he stay committed, and I just hope he just stay committed.
But see, he would need someone like you that can take him under their wings. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, Bo, you need to be making
what he could do is look at what Ryan Williams did, Stay committed. It doesn't matter how many receivers or how many running backs you have. If you're good, you're gonna play. That's what my whole mentality was. I don't care how many running backs they got. If I'm good, I'm gonna play. I want to compete against the best. The more players it is that I gotta compete against, the better I'm gonna get every day.
That's
And
the
if
right
you could,
mentality.
and if you competing every day, that means you getting better than the next man on the next team. Because the other team gonna have 3 or 4 guys that are actually really good.
Mm,
True.
I love that. We're gonna clip
Mm.
all this. That was awesome. Great
So,
stuff.
Bo, when you gonna be joining the staff? I don't know. Did you say the date or?
No, I ain't never seen no big guy.
No, we need to make that happen, man. For real, we need to make that happen.
Yeah,
I'm a Saban kid, so I'm one dimensional. Like I'm straightforward. Like
But they need that.
oh, he tried. He tried to tell them one time. I don't know if they were ready for what he was bringing them. He
Well,
told
we'll
them.
try again.
I can tell you every speech that Coach Saban did when I was there. I took all that in. Like, hey, I can speak for Coach Saban. You know, Coach, just get back. I do it for you. You don't feel like talking anyway.
Exactly.
Man, great stuff. Great stuff. Well, folks, we greatly appreciate you being with us tonight. But most importantly, thank you for being with us all season long. It's been interesting. We've experienced things that we as Alabama fans aren't accustomed to. Well, for some of us, it's been quite a long time since we've experienced that. Petty and I went through the whole probation era. So we definitely remember how hard times were. And they were nothing like what the current fans are experiencing right now. We've seen bad. This isn't bad. Did we meet some of the goals? No, we didn't. And then jury's still out. Like we've talked about, there is an outside shot we get put into the playoffs, and Alabama could turn on that switch and become Bama and go all the way through. That's yet to be seen. But all in all, good season. And we'll see who our opponent's going to be, whether it's in the playoffs or in a bowl game. If it is Coach Prime, get ready for a WWE type atmosphere. It's going to be Six Flags over Boulder. Cannot wait. But anyway, that's going to do it for all of us. Thank you for everyone who donated in the chat. We greatly appreciate everything. Again, we don't necessarily require you to do anything, but we do always value your time. That's the greatest gift you could ever give us. And we will be seeing you on all of our shows next week, and then a post-game show of some kind. But until then, roll tide, everyone.
Roll
Roll
Tide.
Tide.
Roll Tide.
Down bar.